came by to teach you.
Whoever gets posted and is not sent to any other duty, emergency duty, will teach. So we have had scenarios where it didn't matter what they have studied in their background. So anybody will. It's an order, right? So you say, so you get an order saying that from tomorrow you are teacher of maths. Okay. So so you salute saying that yes sir, and tomorrow you're teaching maths. Right. Unless, right, in that class you have your CO's, commanding officer's daughter, and she goes back home and complains, this maths teacher doesn't know anything. Right. Then tomorrow she gets pulled up and say, hey Bagar, what are you teaching? So go, teach Sanskrit. And so she'll get somebody else into maths. So the Sanskrit guy teaches maths from tomorrow. That used to happen quite a bit. We didn't really have teachers. And one thing which I missed from today's time, right, is internet was not there. Otherwise it wouldn't have mattered much. So it did matter. At that time we used to feel that you go to city, my cousins are studying, on top of they're doing some tuition thing, on top of they're doing 20 other things. So 3 teachers per student is working on my cousin, and we've got some one Fauji teaching 3 subjects to us.
You talked about your next posting as Wilder. Tell us it.
Yeah, so see, Jhansi Karera, just picturize this. It's all stone, right? It's exactly where Rani of Jhansi left it, and it's dry, and temperature can go up very high. So from there we get posted to a place called Rikong in district Kinnaur, right at the China border. It's about 18 hours of journey from Simla, and it remains under snow for very long in the year. So, and half the time roads are cut off. There have been instances where food and ration had to be airdropped because there is no way to reach there. So this was quite a contrast posting. I was telling you, change of posting is a very interesting thing in forces because everything changes, right? Your dress change, your game change. You don't have those grounds to play cricket and run unlimited, right? So you move to skiing, you move to mountain activities. So you suddenly get exposed to a new set of games, which in planes you would not get exposed to. That was a very interesting tenure. We were there for 2 years, 9th and 10th of I got educated there. So whatever little teacher we had in planes, they also kind of were not available there. That was the forward area. So forward area, everyone is on doing emergency duties. So there was no teacher, but we used to get hold of, so when the snow goes, officers used to get their wives for whatever vacation, etc. And some of those, there used to be, some of them were MScs or whatever. So we used to keep track of all the education background of all officers' wives. Because, we will go and ask them, or we'll go to CEO saying that, listen, that ma'am has studied science, so while she is here anyways, she can teach science in school. So we had a lot of visiting faculty. Right. But snow comes, then a lot of them used to go back to planes, so we were like on our own. And I used to come, once a year or once in the 8 months, 9 months to Delhi. Delhi has this nice sadak where you get all the books. So I used to buy those books. I used to buy last 10 years question papers, sit with my well-endowed cousins in town, with their help solve those papers. In my area there was nobody to solve also. And then take those back, and we all used to study. All means my 9th and 10th class strength was 4. Yeah, and Carrera used to be 7, and from 7 we got posted into a class strength was 4. Right, so all 4 used to kind of sit and yeah.
Getting slightly serious, you talked about sort of learnings. You talked about letting your imagination grow in Carrera. Your parents were posted in different places a lot.
Yeah.
You talked about that. So maybe expand on that a little bit.
Yeah. So since both were in the forces, both would get different posting, right? So when we were in Carrera, because mom was posted in Carrera, the dad was posted in Ladakh. When we got posted to Kinnaur, dad got posted to Bhopal, right? And so they used to kind of crisscross like that. So we stayed a lot where mom's posting, because mom used to get posted at slightly one step beyond the exact border. So there was a very high likelihood of a school being there, at least in the unit. So that was an advantage. The other advantage, I think, growing up like that was we had to take a lot of decisions pretty much early on. You didn't have really scenario where you would consult. See, it's very difficult to imagine the time where you didn't have internet and you didn't have mobile phone, and the only phone available was that one available, and which the Fauji will connect as if there's war going on, and it will go to CEO's house, your CEO's house, and CEO will then send an orderly saying that, listen, after 1 hour again they will call, so some of you please be here. It was communication was very difficult, so right. So if you have a question like saying, what do I do now? There is nobody you can call, right? So you will maybe consult with your mom or somebody, whatever they'll say. Basically, this is my opinion, but do what you want to do. So do what you want to do actually happened very early in our lives, right? And we had to do, and we had to kind of handle the consequence whichever way. But the freedom on the other side is nobody cared about the consequence, right? So they said, okay, whatever you did, you did. And that was again, a great part about it. And some of these decisions were very, interesting. So, like one example I remember, we were traveling from Shimla. Evening 7 o'clock, we reached a place somewhere 8 hours down the line towards the border, and then the driver told us that there is a rumor that there is a glacier out. There is a glacier which has happened somewhere, a little more farther. So we might get stuck there. So all the other passengers got down at that station saying that, okay, then we don't want to take a chance. And the driver conductor also wanted to kind of wind up the bus there only. But mom had to join her duty, right? So, she can't stop unless she's actually stopped, by force, by her physical. So she can't get off like that. So she said, hey, listen, till the time there's a road, we will have to go. If there's no road, then we will stop. Then the bus will stop, then we will stop, right? Then she looked at us. He said, yeah, that's logical. So we continued. The driver conductor also continued. We went about maybe a couple of more kilometers, and there was a glacier. So road was completely gone. Right? And so we said, now what? You're standing here, there's a big bus, there's a narrow road, there's no way you can turn around. No way. And you can't take the bus in the reverse, right? So that's end of the journey both ways. Right. And it's about 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock in mountains is midnight. Right? And now here this was a stone glacier, there was a town after that, and after that there was a snow glacier. So stone glacier means that the stones are still falling. So now we had to decide. So we said, okay, let's walk. So at 8 o'clock in the night, middle of the night, with whatever luggage we took, I was in class 9, my younger brother was in class 7, and my mom leading the road march, avoiding the snows, and there was Satluj flowing right here. One stone hits you, you are straight into Satluj. Right? You have to touch the mountain, keep towards the wall, and keep walking. Right? Couple of kilometers we did that walk. We found the town. Everyone was on benches outside, whatever, no accommodation because everyone stranded. Then we got a PWD guest house opened, stayed there overnight, stayed another night. And mom said, hey, how long are we going to just lie here? If there is a snow glacier, if we cross that, then from there is a 13-kilometer climb to our place of posting. So she said, what do you suggest? Should we hang in here or should we just walk? In the worst scenario, we'll have to climb up 13 kilometers. We were into. We said, we are game. We will walk. So we walked. We crossed it over. Luckily, we didn't have to climb all the way because there was some jeep which was stranded on the other side from the unit, and so they decided to kind of jeep could turn around. So we got it. But at such early age, these decisions were, and they were not decisions about saying that okay, we will go and do undo, right? They were like real ones. The snow glacier, I remember we took those sticks in hand and we were keep looking for loose snow, and then they crossed over. Once we crossed, we climbed back up and we took a picture. Right? We said, okay, take a picture. So that was decision making at early ages.
Well, and then you talked about change management as you moved to a new place.
Yeah, change management, because you will lose all your friends. So now you are landed in a new location, right? You have to make friends. And the overall window is what? 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, right? That's the time you have in a new location. So you got to make friends, make use of them, and then learn to live without them within this phase, right? So, I mean, you had to be on the drill, I mean, if you like a girl in that location on the moment you land, you have to do end-to-end cycle within those 3 years. You don't have a lifetime, right? So, and we didn't know that mobile and internet is on the way, right? At that time, we didn't know that mobile is coming, right? So, and there was like I said, there's a process, right? When you land in a new city, the first day you will go to officers' mess in the evening. So there's a full process by which, right, you will make sure that by end of that evening you're pretty much socialized and you made your friends and you're right in the circle.
Let's switch gears a little bit. You moved out of the posting eventually for college?
Yeah. So we got lucky. We got posted to Chandigarh. So this is the first city in the life, right? And I had crossed 10th, so 11th happened. I went to Devi College. I was sitting in a class with 80 students, right? So just imagine 7 students, 4 students, and this was suddenly 80. It was a shock. Chandigarh was a shock, actually. 11th was a complete disaster, right? You're unknown. In a camp, you are like known, right? Everyone. So even if you are 4, your teacher knows you, and whatever. It's like big city, and so it was quite a disaster. I took a while settling in. 11th results were bad. I had no idea when will education start. I mean, the college people used to just keep floating. It was very different. And somebody told me, nobody comes here to study. They've already studied whatever you're going to do here. They were 2 months vacation, so they've all figured out all the courses. But 12th, I think I managed fine. I developed, so I was quite keen on science. So by 12th, I realized physics is where I wanted to zero in terms of subject of study. So I did my connects. I went to Patiala. There is a center of astronomy in Patiala. So in class 12th, I was floating in the Punjab University campus in Patiala, meeting professors there, attending symposiums, etc. Then one of the professors guided me, saying, "Listen, you'll need to do graduation before you could take anything more specialized. So go and do graduation." That's how I landed in physics department, Punjab University. So they have an honors program. You can do that right in the campus, Department of Physics, rather than doing in a college which runs a more generic graduate program.
And from college, how did you get your first job? Placement straight from school?
So see, job was not on the mind till pretty late. I think last year of graduation, because when I was studying physics, it was not from a job perspective. I had not thought job till then, and parents were assured more or less that they had not thought that I will think of anything other than the force, right? So job was not on their mind also much in that sense. But at 3 years I had a good feel of studying my subject which I liked, and I said, okay, let's see what else is there. So I used to in campus see these very smartly dressed men and women wearing suits who will come in during lunch hours, float around, right? And they used to look very attractive and smart. Quite a departure from how my physics department folks used to look, right? So physics department people will be like dressed whatever, they'll be in chappals or I don't know, it was a different word. And the MBAs were like very smart, they used to talk very well, etc. So I was kind of infatuated with this set of people. So I made friends with some of them. One of the guys took me to their canteen, their office. So I liked the whole thing, fully air conditioned office, right? So that is a big thing, fully air conditioned, right? Our schools were not air conditioned, our homes were not air conditioned, our campus class was not air conditioned. If nothing was air conditioned before, that campus, that canteen of their office. And so then, I asked them, can I associate something? They gave me some survey forms saying that, okay, in the campus you can keep filling these survey forms. This company was Hutchison. They had launched their paging services in India for the first time. Pagers had not come by that time, but the brochures had come. So there was a picture of how is it going to look like. And of course, there were Some was a product, some was a speculation. So we were also imagining what this product will do, etc. So yeah, so I used to fill their forms very religiously, do my targets, go to the cafe every evening in the office, sit with them. I got talking to the GM. First cut he told me we only hire MBAs, etc. etc. So I said okay, my chances are gone. But yeah, somewhere when they were launching their next venture, this guy asked me, do you want to join? So it was a suddenly out of nowhere kind of a question. I said, yeah, why not? So I went, took an interview, they gave me the offer. They asked me, what's the salary you will expect? I had no idea what salary, what should I say. So I remembered second lieutenant salary at that time used to be 4,500. And I thought, well, if it's similar, at least my parents will feel that I am an officer. Yeah, so they will put an equivalence, right? Otherwise, how do you draw an equivalence between forces and a completely corporate life, right? So he asked me, I said 4,500 is good, if you can. But okay, when they gave me offer, it was 5,500, so I was like very happy. My parents were also very happy. But yeah, before taking up a job, because I had an offer from IMA also, military academy, so I sat with my dad to check, what is good. This life we completely knew, right? So it was very familiar, very secure. The forces, you knew everyone, right? So, and there would be already a connection, everything was fine, and they could draw up a whole career chart and guide me all through. This was a new world completely, right? So I think that was a very good point my dad said, saying that, hey, listen, this life you've already lived, we have also lived. Right? If you take this route, we all live the same life again. This is a life you have not lived, we have also not lived. You take this route, this is something new for you, this is something new for us. And he said that if all this grooming and adventures and all growing up cannot let you even take this risk, what is it worth it? If you have to still go for the most secured option, so what? There's a risk, no? So go take the risk. So I think that was an amazing thing, risk taking. So just my decision closed, right? Commander says go means go. So go, okay, I go. Right? So I worked with Hutchison for about a year and a half. But then I realized that yeah, the MBA is a good thing. Everyone was around was MBA, so long term, if we have decided to do this, let me do an MBA. So by the time I decided, only this Maharashtra CET was left. It happens in summers, everything happens in winters. Anyway, I took the test, came to Symbiosis. So that's how Pune started, right? And if you come to Pune, you'll walk away with a degree and a girl, right? That's why my mother-in-law is from Pune, right? So that's what happened.
Excellent. What he forgot to tell you about the Hutchison Max story, which he was telling me earlier, is it wasn't that he just hit his targets on the forms. He kept bringing more and more forms every day, so they all knew him as the guy who brings forms every day.
Yeah.
That's why the GM wanted to offer him.
Yeah, so it worked actually. So reputation got built in the sense that I was known as the guy who brings in form, right? Who brings in targets, whatever he beats a target, no matter if it's a stupid target given to the guy, right? Yeah. Maybe I believe that they had given me a stupid thing of saying that he's just behind our life, so let him fill the form, right? But whatever they used to say, I used to go around, not just in campus, all over city, and make sure that I meet those targets, right? So that built a reputation. Saying that guy at least does whatever you give him, right?
And then of course, you have to hear the story of how he paid for college as well, for the MBA program.
Yeah, so MBA program I joined Beeple Mobile after that because I had a telecom background anyways, and so see till 12th you didn't have to pay, right? You were in the forces school, forces kid, so there's no question of paying anything. Maybe there was some 10 rupees or 5 rupees fee, whatever it was. During my graduate years, I used to get a scholarship, so it was more than the campus fee. Plus also I used to teach physics at some local institutions which were preparing kids for tests. So I was actually making money in this whole thing. When I was doing Hutchison, I had pre-MBA. In Ludhiana, I used to go to a business school and teach marketing actually. So there also I was making money. And to teach marketing, basically I had read three books, right? One was Kotler anyway, because I heard they teach Kotler in marketing, so I said might as well read it. So I read that. Second thing I read was, which is an amazing book actually, was Ogilvy on advertising. Right? So it's a brilliant book. I suggest everyone should just read it. will be on advertising. The third book I remember was Eckert's brand building, or something like that. So these three books I had read before MBA, and basis this I used to go and teach marketing. So yeah, so that's how I made my. So my education never really costed anything. MBA was the only cost, right? And at that time SIBM was a Pune University College, so fees was really less. I mean, I guess maybe 40,000-60,000 bucks or something. But when I joined Beeple Mobile, I was on a condition that they will reimburse the fee. So and I committed that I will not take up anything else. So you reimburse the fee, and I just joined blindly. So they had a 1 year thing saying that you don't leave before a year. I said, that's fine. So it worked out. So,
Let's switch gears again. The startup experience.
Yeah. So see, startup experience, I would say right from beginning it was, because when I joined Hutchison, it was a startup team, right? So startup has two sides, right? One is the resource side of saying that there is a certain degree of risk you take because can they sustain you or not. The other risk on the startup is about consumer risk. Is the product going to even sell to a consumer or not? That's your professional risk, right? One is your survival risk. The other is your professional risk, saying will you be able to even do the job better or not, right? So I think even in Hutchison, you had to manage the other risks. Resources are fine, right? Lee Ka-shing had put a lot of money, and Aniljeet Singh was the other owner, so you didn't have to worry about surviving. But you still had a question to attend: was can you still sell it to a consumer, somebody who's never seen this product before? So from a consumer point of view, it was a startup, right? So, and because you were in charge of selling, you were doing a startup anyway. So first job was startup. Beeple Mobile happened, those Nokia 1610 days and 16 rupee 80 paisa call rates. So it was again a startup. It was again, and you had to tell people why it's better than a paging thing. So it was again a startup experience, but both were like startup with rich people. Survival was not a question, right? You had to manage only one side. Right? Then happened Jobs Ahead, right? So Jobs Ahead was a two-sided risk, because your resources will be under pressure. It's an internet startup, right? And first generation job site, and on the other side you have to convince, go meet HR people, right, and tell them about internet recruitment. Only this was 2001, right? So 2001 means a lot of HR wouldn't have internet on their desk. So I mean, we have had scenarios where we had to go to the CEO jointly to pitch for a internet connection. And CEO will say, well, whenever you want to search, you can call up the tech guy, he can open the internet for you for an hour, you search. And so we had to tell him that no, this thing is, he will need a dedicated one. So JobSet was a first pure play startup, right, which we talk about, the way we talk about startups. Right?
Let me actually step back a little bit. You told a very interesting story about BPL Mobile's growth in Maharashtra.
Yeah, that's South Maharashtra thing. So during my BPL Mobile tenure, right, we had a tough scenario at South Maharashtra, Ichalkaranji, Sangli, Satara, Kolhapur. That was a belt which had to be grown, and for some reason it was not kind of taking off and all, and it was about. I felt it was because there was nobody stationed there. People were not really handling it from there. People used to kind of keep coming to Pune and then going back, etc., etc. So in a meeting, I generally just commented saying that hey, the market won't turn around unless you go where the action is. So if action is there, you should just live there. So it backfired on me. So everyone felt upset that I was poking nose into somebody else's territory. And the manager said, listen, will you go? Right, so see, I mean, maybe background effects in that sense that even today, if let's say if my boss tells me, will you go? I can't imagine a scenario where I can say no, right? You just can't say no. You've grown up like that, right? So I can't. Even my dad tells me something you do today. There's just no way you can say no, right? So I said, yeah, I'll go, right? So I stayed at Kolhapur for a while. I started managing the territory, but then I realized that Kolhapur is also not sufficient. the center is Sangli. So 8 months I lived in Sangli. Sat there on the head of the dealers. Right, the dealer had a plush office and all that. So day one he asked me, so you are going to work from here, so let's find an office for you. So I went around the table, sat on his chair. I said, I have found my office. He said, well, so I will then split this and maybe we both will sit. I said, listen, your office is there in the ground where the customer is. So you will go out. So sometimes you have to kind of be where the action is. Because that's where your team is going to run with you. You can't from Pune call them and say, what's the number, right? You will say you are an idiot. Sitting in Pune, you have no idea what the market is. So you got to be there. So that was a good experience.
Let me bring you back to jobs ahead then. Started on a high, you joined, they just picked up the money.
Yeah, so from Jobs Ahead had raised money. I was part of startup team, heading Western India and Middle East. There wasn't much in Middle East anyways, but at least I was supposed to manage it. So, but Western India I was managing. It was a funded venture. Chris Capital had funded it already. And a lot of money got blown. So when you get funded initially, some money gets blown. So some money had got blown. We had a plush office at Bandra East. Then 9/11 happened. So the only people who were hiring through job sites were IT HR managers. They at least had a desktop. The non-IT pharma and all that didn't have anything. So 9/11 happened, IT hiring stopped, right? You suddenly had no market, and it was a big challenge. So we moved from Bandra East to Bandra West, right? And I don't know how many people can visualize that. Bandra East BKC, right, is the plush thing, right? It's like a Manhattan. And Bandra West, Veena Bina, is a gala just opposite to the railway station, right? So it's quite a pathetic place to really work from. And I had 17 people team. I brought it down to 3 over a 2 days exercise, which I spent a lot of time with individuals, gave them role plays, asked them that okay, this is a project, you have to cut down the team to 5, right? Assume you are in, who are the other colleagues you will want to run with? Here are all the reports of last 1 year, whatever you want to refer, make your dream team, right? All 17 people made their dream teams over next 2 days, right? And during that exercise, some people themselves became very clear. I mean, some people actually told me that Prashant, when you will make your dream team, I won't be there. I know that, and so that gave me another very interesting insight about people, right? Everyone knows who's the performer, whether they acknowledge it to you or not, but they know. You make them sit on your seat, you make them the owner, you ask them to choose their team, they will choose the winning team. They will forget about who's who, etc. They want to win, right? Everything is at stake. So everyone knows the performer. The list of top 5 of almost all was very similar. And because I had kept them out saying that you are already in, so doesn't matter. Talk about others. That was so simple that when I told them who are the people I'm going to run with, there was no argument about it, right? So I had a list of 5 from each. I wanted to run with 3. And those 3 figured in everyone's list. It just solved a lot of hassle, argument about numbers, why me, why not somebody else, etc. At least, so it's a painful exercise. It's very, very painful exercise. But you can put some sense into it if you involve people. And then we cut down. We moved to this gala where we used to all sit together. We had limited chairs, and our chaiwala's chair we will borrow. If some guests will come, etc., 2-3 people come, then we will get his chair. And there was small chabutra outside, so that was a conference area. We'll in the morning sit there and work there. So we went back there, and then over the next 8-9 months, we moved to Marine Lines, right? So, and that was amazing thrill, right? For a 3-people team to move from somewhere, go back to jungles and kind of win your kingdom back, right? It was that experience, amazing experience. And you feel so proud of the fact that you had created every bit of it, right? And each one of them were involved, and then of course we grew to, we grew to 70 people team, in that Marine Drive office. And